So you guys know how we have a government shutdown looming, and right now there is no House Speaker because Kevin McCarthy was ousted when 8 little rapscallion Republicans decided to call a vote against him and voted against him, and every single Democrat also voted against him, and now we have no House Speaker. Remember that? Okay. So the first person they threw up there, Stephen Scalise, that didn't work out. He's cringe, whatever. The second person the Republicans are trying, Jim Jordan, also cringe. Really bad guy. Wants total abortion ban, homosexuality, or sorry, not homosexuality. Well, he would, I'm sure, have every gay killed if he could. But what he actually publicly supports is banning gay marriage, which is pretty common to Republicans, but he's been more open with it. Also voted to overturn the government, January 6th. One of the people who voted to send the elector count back, essentially legally enabling the coup. A traitor, a seditious traitor in any sane country, he would be behind bars for even attempting to do such a thing. I mean that sincerely. They're the one they're putting him up. So, as I understand it, this is a rough number because the negotiations are ongoing. About 50 House Republicans aren't really sold on this guy. Keep in mind, basically every single House Republican needs to vote in favor of one guy during the vote. Because if there's any dissidence, if there are, like, say, a dozen House Republicans who vote for another person, the Democrats have the ability to vote as a group for that person and thus sway the House vote. So Republicans are trying to work through their very narrow margin in the House of Representatives and negotiate beforehand to make sure there are no dissidents. Now, how successful have they been so far? Not so successful, I'd say, actually. A former GOP congressman from a swing district warns a Jordan speakership would be, quote, enormously problematic for the Republicans in those districts that Joe Biden won. I wonder if Republicans putting forward a far-right candidate who voted to overturn the election results might play poorly in districts that Joe Biden won. I'm thinking right now. I'm thinking.
To hold a vote to elect its next speaker. Representative Jim Jordan of Ohio won the Republican nomination after Steve Scalise withdrew his name. But it's not clear if Jordan has the votes he needs to actually secure the position of speaker. NBC News senior national political reporter Sahil Kapoor joins us now. So, Sahil, what are we hearing from Jordan and his colleagues about?
This guy has a very intense look. I don't know if I trust. It's not that I don't trust him. It's that I think he's going to kill me.
Out tomorrow's planned vote and what happens next if they fail to elect a new speaker? They don't get enough votes.
Hey, Vicky. Well, there's a lot of tension within the House Republican Conference about this. They, of course, voted to evict Kevin McCarthy about 2 weeks ago. Then the next in line, Steve Scalise, did not get the votes. He withdrew. Now it's on would-be Speaker Jim Jordan, who is officially the conference's nominee for this job. He has not locked up the votes yet, but he put out a new letter to his colleagues sounding the note of unity, calling for them to rally behind him. Some of his colleagues will find this ironic, given that Jordan has often been on the agitator end of the spectrum. But he says, quote, the country and our conference cannot afford us attacking each other right now. The role of a speaker is to bring all Republicans together and promise that that is what he intends to do. Now, there are some positive trends here for Jim Jordan. Some of his critics.
What? We will make sure there are more Republican voices involved in our major decisions beyond the 5 families. What is that? Am I missing a euphemism here? What is this? I think it's a Chinese mafia thing. I don't think that's what it is. Is he just, like, making a Godfather reference? I think he might be making, like, a mafia reference. Like, we need to bring the families together. That's kind of a weird thing to make a reference to when you're a very powerful political official, I think. Because if I remember the plot of The Godfather correctly, they were gangsters? Is it a Fast and Furious reference? I don't know. It's fine. It's fine. 5 families were the Italian mafia, but it's referring to their internal factions. Okay, yeah, whatever. Okay, whatever. This poses a pretty massive challenge for the Republicans. Kevin McCarthy. So as you know, Kevin McCarthy replaced Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi had been House Speaker for quite some time. Kevin McCarthy replaced her. Now, Kevin McCarthy was in a very particular position when he replaced Nancy Pelosi. Kevin McCarthy was supposed to be like the unity candidate for everyone. Now, obviously, bipartisan unity is bullshit. It's fake, especially when Republicans do it, especially when modern Republicans do it. So Kevin McCarthy was never meant to represent the voices of Democrats, but he was postured as doing so. Kevin McCarthy wasn't supposed to be like a super antagonistic, like partisan right-wing leader of the House. In practice, Kevin McCarthy was not a very strong leader for the Republicans. This is in part because he was not very good at quieting the very radical far-right content creator style like Matt Gaetz. You know, we talked about before with like some politicians want to be politicians and some of them just want to be content creators who are also politicians, you know? He wasn't very good at quieting down those types and the people on the far right. And one relatively left-leaning Republican, I forget her name, but she's weird. So he wasn't a very good unity ticket. Jim Jordan is a worse unity ticket. Jim Jordan is more openly far right. Nancy Mace, thank you. Jim Jordan is more openly far right than Kevin McCarthy. He has worse associations. He voted January 6th, blah, blah, which means that he is not as optically presentable as a unity ticket. And it also means that he might not be able to unite the warring Republicans, you know, in the way Kevin McCarthy also failed to, basically. Here's a list of the Republicans who still have not made public statements supporting Jim Jordan. Holy shit, this many? Still? Oh, this is just somebody literally wrote it up. Taking this with a grain of salt, Haley... Oh, Team CNN on the Hill? Oh, she's a reporter? Okay. Damn, a reporter of what? Serving cunt? Hey, looking good. Here to report that I've got a slick jacket on. Is that a jacket? I think it's just a top. Calm down. Wait, I'm sorry. Do you think it's horny to say serving cunt? That's not... The people who say that most often about women are gay men. I'm complimenting her. You said damn? Yeah, because it's a nice top. Okay, whatever. I think it looks nice. Jesus. That's a compliment? Yes? Okay. Sorry, my apologies. Heteros and chat. Okay, a lot of Republicans have not indicated support here. Yeah, this is homophobia against me specifically. Anyway, yeah, I don't know how well this is going to work out. Now, I know this seems like it's just covering sort of like ongoing political bickering. Oh, right. Yeah, Jim Jordan. Sorry, Jim Jordan was also the guy who, when he was a coach, allowed a bunch of sexual assault to happen underneath him at Ohio State University. That's right. I always forget. Steve Scalise was the David Duke without the baggage guy. This is the oversaw a bunch of rape guy. There we go. Sorry. I forgot to mention that. Okay, so that's also not good politically. Not that Republicans give a shit. But the reason this is so important is because a big battle is coming up. Now, you might remember that at the beginning of this month, we were supposed to have a government shutdown that was briefly averted, but that aversion was with a 45-day stay, which means that in about a little less than a month, the government's going to shut down, which means that a big battle in the House, the same battle we've had so many times before, but a big battle nonetheless, is going to take place. And right now, it looks like it's going to take place with no House Speaker, which would be interesting. Like, there are interim House Speakers, but you really want an elected House Speaker in charge during a big House battle. Like, it'd be pretty weird to not have that. Kind of unprecedented, you know, kind of uncharted waters here. So, yeah, it's really important how this House battle turns out. Personally, and I'm just guessing here, I don't think Jim Jordan's going to pull it. I think that this is going to go back to a third round. Scalise didn't do it. Jim Jordan, I don't think he's going to do it. I don't know who's going to come next, but I don't think they're going to do it either, honestly.
And even some very vocal critics have flipped from being a no to a yes.
Is this really good for us, or is it just kind of funny? It is funny. It's a little good for us with the potential of being very good for us. This internal division within the GOP is making them look very foolish. This, normally when the Republicans fuck up the functioning of the government, they're able to like blame Democrats for it and people buy it anyway because voters are stupid. In this case, nobody is buying it. Everyone, including the GOP, is pointing at the GOP for this one. Like Republican politicians, commentators, everyone is pointing at the GOP going, what the f, guys? You know? Like, Matt Gaetz made it easy for us. It's very clearly internal division, and that makes them look weak, and their weakness is our strength.
Yes on his, on the vote for making him speaker. That includes Congressman Mike Rogers from Alabama, was a no late last week, is announced today he is a yes. That includes Ann Wagner, the congresswoman who on Thursday told our team she was a hell no on Jim Jordan. Today she's announced she's a yes. And then there's Ken Calvert, who represents a district in California that is very competitive.
Vosh, didn't the House vote 15 times to get McCarthy? Yes, if you remember, we only got Kevin McCarthy after like Yeah, more than a dozen votes in the House. Do you recall that? All the drama and bickering. What? I hit space. Why does space not replay the video?
Also announced today that he is supporting Jim Jordan for Speaker. It's still not clear that Jordan has the votes yet, but the trends are in his favor at this moment. And Vicky, there's one quote from a Republican aide that I just want to read out, who's confident that Jordan will get it. The aide says, quote, "The people opposing him are moderates. Either he gets it or the moderates for the first time ever grow a spine," unquote.
From a Hell No.
If moderates in the Republican Party end up being the reason he can't get his votes through, that would be incredibly good for us, because it would be a very public demonstration that the Republican Party is still, at least to some extent, resisting the extremist elements within it. That the more neocon types who don't think they would be able to win re-election if the GOP committed that far to the far right, like, they're pulling back a little bit. Again, their weakness is our strength. We'll see. We'll see. I need a haircut. Get a faggy fade cut? I try. How about a coalition speaker? Impossible.